The movie starts with Lucy's boyfriend, Richard, asking her to take a package to Mr. Zhang in a hotel room. He doesn't tell her what's inside and just asks her to trust him. When Lucy keeps asking, Richard says it's paperwork but locked with a pin only Mr. Zhang knows. He tells her he'll get $11,000 for it, and if she helps, they can share it. Richard wanted Lucy to deliver something for him. But Lucy didn't want to because she needed to study. Richard gave Lucy $500 to do it, but she was angry and went to deliver it. She asked to see Mr. Zhang, pretending to be Richard. The receptionist told her to wait there as Mr. Zhang had instructed. Meanwhile, Richard was waiting outside the door, unable to come in. Some men wearing black suits walk to Lucy. They shoot Richard as they approach the door. They give money to the receptionist and take Lucy away. The bodyguards pull Lucy to Mr. Zhang's room. Inside, Lucy sees Mr. Zhang killing some people. She throws up from the sight. Mr. Zhang comes out with bloody hands, talking to his men in Korean. Lucy doesn't understand why she's in trouble. She tries to explain that she was just supposed to deliver the box and leave without anyone getting hurt. She asks for someone who speaks English so she can explain herself. Miss Zhang calls someone who speaks both English and Korean. Mr. Zhang, the person in charge, asks the interpreter to ask Lucy what's in the box. Lucy says she doesn't know because she was forced into delivering it. Mr. Zhang writes a number on a piece of paper and leaves with his men. The interpreter tells Lucy to open the box with the code Mr. Zhang wrote. Everyone in the room hides, waiting for Lucy to open the box. Zhang is hiding because he doesn't trust Richard. Lucy also doesn't trust Zhang because they've only been dating for a week. This makes Lucy even more afraid. Despite being scared, Lucy opens something. Inside, there are 4 see-through bags with blue stuff inside. Lucy tells the person on the phone what she found. Then, that person tells Mr. Zhang what's inside. Mr. Zhang leaves his hiding spot to take the briefcase from Lucy and test what's inside to see if it works. They bring a man in and make him smell something blue. The man acts like he can't breathe and then starts laughing a lot, drooling from his mouth. Then Mr. Zhang gets mad and shoots him in the head. After that, Mr. Zhang offers Lucy a job. She cries and says she doesn't want the job, but his men hit her until she passes out. In another scene, in a lecture hall, a professor teaches that most humans use an average of 10% of their cerebral capacity, even with all the technology we've invented. He mentions that the one living thing which uses the highest cerebral capacity is the dolphin, which uses about 20% cerebral capacity, enabling them to have an echolocation system more efficient than any sonar. Lucy wakes up in her underwear in a new room she doesn't know about, with bandages stained with her blood on her stomach. Coming out of the room to see Mr. Zhang and his gang and a man who apparently is the doctor. She is told that a pouch of the blue content, which is a drug called CPH4, has been placed into her lower belly, and she shouldn't be scared because they did nothing to her organs. After this, they bring others with the drugs in them too. Thank them for doing this, and give them passports and flight tickets to deliver the drug to Europe, threatening to go after their family if they do otherwise. They cover their faces and send them out, as this is their business model. After a while, in another location, Lucy becomes conscious. She talks herself into being calm until she lands from the plane. Then she is unmasked by 2 men speaking Mandarin. One of the men is touching her inappropriately, trying to have sex with her. She hits him off, and he hits her back, kicking her continuously in her stomach until the other man stops him, and they leave the room. The kicks and punches were so hard the pouch in Lucy's stomach broke, and the drug slipped into her body. She starts jerking aggressively as the drug bursts through her body. In another scene in the class presentation, the professor taught that if a human can attain 20% of their brain capacity by any chance, it'll give access and control of our own body. The human body consists of 100 billion neurons which can only be accessed by 15% of the brain capacity. Also, the body consists of a gigantic network of information which we cannot access, except we attain a certain percent of our brain capacity. At 40% of the brain capacity, a person can control others and then control matter. A student asked what could happen if one attained 100% brain capacity, but the professor could not answer that. Lucy, on the other hand, became conscious and sat quietly on a chair. A man came inside her prison. She seduced him, and when he came closer, she knocked him out and freed herself. This is the effect of the drug working. She went out of the prison she was locked in, killed everyone else, and ate all their food with her hands. She took out a bullet she was shot with in her arm all by herself, and afterward, she packed all the guns they had and went outside. She saw two cabmen and asked if they spoke English. She shot the first one, who responded no, and threatened the other cab driver with a gun to take her to a hospital. On their way, she noticed she could hear conversations of people making calls from far away, and she could hear them speak clearly. When they got to the hospital, she told the driver to wait for her, and she went inside. She noticed she could read foreign signs and languages. She went to the surgery room. During the ongoing brain surgery, they urged her to leave, but she insisted on their urgent attention. She swiftly analyzed the patient's brain case on a screen and determined his fate, citing a tumor invading the cortex on the right side of his spine. Without hesitation, she directed the surgeon to remove the drug someone had placed in her, emphasizing its leakage. Rejecting anesthesia, she urged the doctor to proceed with the treatment, even as she contacted her mom during the surgery. Deep in the procedure, she described her heightened senses, perceiving everything around her, from the Earth's rotation to the subtlest vibrations. She recounted memories from birth onwards, including moments like breastfeeding, expressing gratitude before hanging up. With the drug extracted, only 500 grams remained. She asked the doctor how much was left in her body to be eliminated, but he could only provide this information if he knew what drug it was. She then informed him that it was CPH4. The doctor explained that pregnant women produce CPH4 during the 6th week of pregnancy in tiny quantities, which helps the baby form all the bones in the body. He likened its action to an atomic bomb and expressed surprise that she wasn't dead considering the amount that had leaked into her. She replied, "Not for long." Before leaving the hospital, outside, Lucy could now see the roots of trees beneath the floor and how they connected to all parts of the tree. Lucy went to meet Mr. Jang, where she killed all his men and went straight to his room. There, she found him enjoying the calmness and taking care of his skin. She pinned his hands to a chair with 2 knives and told him how she felt after the drug affected her. When he didn't respond to her inquiries about the others' whereabouts, she placed her hands on his head, accessing all his memories. She obtained the information she needed and discovered that the others were headed to Berlin, Paris, and Rome, respectively, based on the flight tickets given to them. Later, Lucy borrowed her friend's laptop and conducted research on her condition. She found Professor Nelson's research and called him immediately, claiming to have read all 6,000 pages and explaining her situation. Though he initially doubted her, she convinced him by controlling his TV screen and displaying her ability to manipulate basic objects. She expressed her uncertainty about what to do with the overwhelming knowledge in her brain, and mentioned feeling like her time of death was near. The professor advised her to pass on her knowledge to everyone, likening it to the passage of a simple cell through time. Lucy then informed him that she would be with him in 12 hours. Lucy provided a printed prescription to her friend, informing her about her failing kidneys and liver and advising lifestyle changes. Subsequently, she changed her appearance to evade capture and contacted the military, providing detailed information about the other drug traffickers with CPH4. She warned them about the powerful nature of the drugs and mentioned her need to acquire them later. The military intercepted each trafficker at the airport, except for one who escaped but was eventually caught. Lucy's brain capacity had now reached 40%. Lucy was on a plane drinking champagne when she suddenly felt weird. Her hand felt numb, and she felt like she was disappearing. She hurried to the bathroom, but the feeling got worse, like she was vanishing. She panicked and took more of the medicine CPH4 to feel better. The flight attendants tried to get her out of the bathroom, but she woke up later in a hospital room in Paris. The nurse and the doctor were surprised to see her there. Del Rio, someone she knew, was also there. Lucy really wanted to go, but Del Rio and his buddies stopped her. But then, she did this cool thing with her hand and made the officers fall asleep, taking away their guns without breaking a sweat. She even got Rio's bullet back and told him they needed to talk alone. Lucy was sure she should keep those packets safe, even though she was only using half her brain. She took control of Rio's car, using her new powers to drive it to where Mr. Jang was. At the hospital, bad things happened when Mr. Jang's people attacked, fighting anyone who got in their way. Lucy, feeling not so good, managed to beat them up and get the drugs they took, even though Rio said she should go alone. Lucy kissed him and asked him to come with her. When they got to where the professor was, Lucy surprised everyone with how smart she was. She told them to put the rest of the drugs into her body so she could be super smart, and then put all her knowledge into a computer. But the professors weren't sure if it was a good idea for people to have all that knowledge. As Mr. Jang's people got closer, something weird happened in the room. Lucy's body changed and the place turned strange. Suddenly, there was a fancy computer there. In the middle of the mess, Lucy found herself going back in time for a moment before coming back. After finishing her job, Lucy disappeared, leaving her clothes behind. Rio saved the professors. Lucy sent a message saying she was everywhere now, thanks to all her knowledge being in a flash drive. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you tomorrow.